Welcome back everybody to Forza Motorsport. So we're continuing on with a new tour, and it's a BMW Tour, as you've probably guessed. Really rather enjoyed the Australian tour, so hopefully this can also live up to that as well. Does seem to be more focused on racing cars this time around, as there are two championships focused on racing cars, whereas in the Australian tour there was only one. So yeah, I'm not typically fond of racing cars. I know that sounds a bit silly considering I'm not a racing game, but I do get far more enjoyment out of driving, road cars on track than race cars on track. But still, let's take a look at what the early M Championship has in store for us.
BMW's reputation for automotive excellence stems from its storied history in motorsport. The legendary M division, born from a desire to dominate motorsport, has since become synonymous with high-performance driving by crafting vehicles that seamlessly blend track-bred technology with luxurious refinement. BMW's unwavering commitment to motorsport extends beyond mere competition. The racetrack serves as a laboratory for BMW to develop new technology and push the boundaries of automotive engineering.
Right, so yeah, Forza has added a lot of, several BMWs to this game to, support this BMW Tour. I think the M635 CSI is one that has been added to the game, but there are other ones, newer ones as well, like the BMW M6 Coupe from 2010, which surprisingly I haven't reviewed, so I will get around to that at some point. So yeah, we've got three BMWs to choose from, earliest being the 1986 BMW M635 CSI, which has the same power as the BMW M5 from 2 years later, as they are basically the same car. Although weirdly, the coupe weighs more than the saloon, which I've never been able to work out why. And then we also have the BMW M3, much smaller engine, and less power and less torque, but also significantly less weight. It's a car a lot of people enjoy, but me personally, I wasn't much of a fan of the M3 until the 2000s, so yeah, I'm going to opt for a car that I haven't driven for a while, and it's going to be the M6. So as you can see, it's got better handling and braking than the M5, better speed apparently, but not as good as acceleration because of that additional weight, but that is always something we can get rid of once we upgrade the car. And at the end of the day, I've also bought the M5 already, and I've already reviewed it as well, so we already know what that car is capable of. So let's see what the M6 can do. We will get it in red, because I think it looks pretty good in red, although to be fair, that kind of blue looks really rather nice. It also looks good in white. I really wish we could look at the car free cam when choosing colours, because it is kind of annoying not to be able to. But yeah, I actually quite like that blue, if it is blue, that is. But regardless, really rather nice looking colour, so let's go for that one. And we'll look at the stats as well before we go racing. But yeah, we're at Silverstone Racing Circuit for 7 laps on the international circuit, so not a particularly long circuit, but it's got some decent straights to it, so should be able to make the most of our power. Oh no, it's 6 laps, not 7. But yeah, let's take a look at the stats before we hit the track. So yeah, 6 seconds to 60, 15.118 to 100, and it'll go to a top speed of 163 miles an hour, which is not exactly shabby even by today's standards, quite frankly. So yeah, hopefully it will do well. Obviously, being a coupe, it's probably a little bit softer than maybe even the saloon was, because this is probably more aching towards being a Grand Tourer than a everyday saloon car. So whether or not the suspension is going to be any better or worse, we'll have to see. But the handling stats say that it is better, so maybe it's a little bit tighter. But at the end of the day, this is obviously an older car than the M5 on this game. They are technically the same car underneath, from what I understand. So who knows? But yeah, gonna be interested to see what it can do in comparison to those other cars that we could have chosen from. So yeah, let's whack out some fuel. Get it down to 8 laps. Right. Nice sounding inline 6 engine on this. Get some non-BMW cars here. Mercedes 190E beside us. Commodores that we looked at before, which are really well a nice saloon car. The Sierra Cosworth, number M6. So yeah, some pretty formidable machines alongside us here. We're actually doing fairly well for a stock race. So we've not had the best of luck in these first races in the past, but getting to 5th position fairly quickly is a solid start, quite frankly. Keep up with those in front, we'll have to see. Properly caught with this Sierra. Draft on them so we can get some clean air. Figured we were able to overtake them, but not quite. There we go, slip into 4th. Comfortably ahead of 5th now. We seemingly are gaining on 3rd. This car's got actually better suspension than I was expecting it to be honest. We're not using it the best when we're hitting the curbs like that. Holden is pulling away primarily probably because it's got a V8 and therefore it's going to have more torque than we do, which really does help pull away. I don't think it's any better in terms of handling or braking. Brake there, it's a bit needless.
3 remaining.
A bit of early braking from the Holden there. Not the newer one that I thought it was. It's actually the HDT Commodore. I thought that was an earlier 90s one. So that might explain why it's not as good in under braking and handling as we are. actually got a podium position, which is a rarity when we start off with a stock vehicle. But I do like to see what the car can do before we do upgrade it. Keeping up with another M6 that has been upgraded to a certain extent. It's got the Forza rear wing on it. Can we get second? To this one. HDT is pretty damn sharpish in a straight line. I don't think it quite has the handling. Maybe the driver isn't as good. But he does seem to struggle through the corners. This one is getting massive amounts of understeer there.
Final lap. You got this.
Bit of late braking spooked our fellow M6 there. So by some miracle we've gotten into second place, which is really going to stand us in good stead for the rest of this championship. This car has certainly proved its worth, quite frankly, because it's got a good amount of speed, rather good acceleration, and for a car that is nearing 40 years old, it handles and brakes far better than you might expect. Especially when you consider the M5, which it's also based on, is also a really rather good handling and braking car, and yet this actually weighs slightly more than that while also still feeling just as good. So
Nicely done.
yeah, really rather good lap time as well there. Not the fastest by any means. 5th and 9th for getting into the 120s, but still it's a fairly good lap time and certainly helped us regardless getting into second place. So yeah, that's going to give us a solid 25 points to start with. So good platform to launch this championship off with. So let's get into the upgrade shop and see what we can do to this car. Right, so here we are at the upgrade screen. So yeah, there was only really very minor issues with this car, quite frankly, so we don't really have to do a lot to it, but then again we don't have a lot of PI to play with either, so we can't go full brakes on this because that'll take up a lot of the PI that we need, so we'll just go for street brakes. But as you can see, they do improve it up to the handling stat, so there is that. We'll slightly lower the suspension to give us less body roll. We'll knock out some of the weight, because that is at the end of the day one of the things that is punishing this car over the M5 that it is based on. Give it slightly wider tyres up front and rear. We'll do a drive line to compensate for the additional weight from the wider tyres. And then maybe give it a little horsepower, extra horsepower. We can't give it a lot because this car really doesn't need much in the way of upgrades to get some extra solid power out of it by the looks of things. Right, we'll give it 290 and then we'll knock the drive line down to get it back to a decent amount. But we're still weighing less than what we were originally, and yeah, we obviously have more power. If we can get the anti-roll bars down as well, we can lighten the car a little bit more. Yes, so we're at 3250 now in terms of weight, 290 in terms of horsepower, and a decent amount of additional amount of torque as well. So it's not going to have improved massively in terms of acceleration. You can see we're only 0.29 of a second quicker to 60, but we are nearly a second quicker to 100, and we're now doing 165 at the top end. So marginal differences, but I think the handling is what's really going to help this be as good as it can be. So yeah, which we've improved. So we've got a free lap race for Spa, and also we've got some low dense fog as well to deal with on top of that. But since we're not in the most powerful or quickest of cars, any fog shouldn't be too much of an issue, because we're not going to be going that fast, and it doesn't even look like foggy either. It might change when we get to the actual race. Yes, it has. Right, so we're going to have to keep an eye out. Luckily, obviously, we do have headlights and brake lights, so we should still be able to see everyone if we need to. Right, knock down the weight with the fuel. 25%. So yeah, obviously we've not changed it massively. Wider tyres front and rear, slightly better brakes, slightly better suspension, and a marginal amount of extra horsepower while weighing a little bit less as well. But that, drop in weight and increase in power will both help this massively, because the less weight you have, the more your power is able to be used. And upping the power while reducing the weight will have double the effect, quite frankly. So yeah, I think we're going to be doing fairly well here. I don't imagine we've got the most power here. There's probably someone who's upgraded their car to a ridiculous amount, but I feel like we've got a decent amount of power for this circuit. Fog isn't too bad. It'd be an issue if you couldn't see the corner that you were coming up to, or the driving line or anything like that, but it's not too problematic, thankfully. Fellow BMW there, needlessly braking. Starting us both now. Past. bit sooner. Rewind that. Slightly did the same thing there. Maybe not quite as bad. Surprised our headlights aren't on for this. We're going to get a top 5 showing, so there is that, but at least like to try and match our first race's performance. Is so much better for the corners, but then again it is basically a racing car for the road. Oh dear, massively gone wide there. Surprised there was no penalty though. Massively improve on our lap time though, so there is that. I guess it helps when you don't have as much traffic to deal with. 190 is nowhere near as quick in a straight line as we are though. It's not 190, it's a BMW. See, tricks, playing mind tricks on me. Well, again, yeah, I'm not surprised at the M3. Oh dear. It's better for the corners than we are. Lighter car, smaller. But also not surprised that it's quicker, slower in a straight line, because we, even in stock form, had more power than it. Surprised I mistook it for a Mercedes. So used to seeing that Mercedes with its rear wing and being all in black and 90, well, late 80s, early 90s styling. I just figured that's the car I was following. Because we did see one in the first race. Setting off from the start. Can we catch a fellow BMW 6 though? like that, we won't. Especially on the final lap. Close. Another lap we would have had him, but still. 4th place is decent. Obviously it's twice as bad as it was last time, but still, it's a decent enough position. Far increased on where we started. But the Ford Sierra there being the champion there. Far ahead of us, by nearly 4 seconds. But we still had a really rather good lap. I think we're the only one to be just above 3 minutes. Yeah. And I know it's a dirty lap, but it wasn't because of corner cutting or anything like that. So yeah, but still decent enough position. Where's that going to place us overall? It's going to push us into 1st place overall though, just because of how other drivers there have positioned in the previous races. So yeah, but we're only 2 points ahead of 2nd and only 6 points ahead of 3rd. So still everything to play for in this championship. But yeah, really pleased that we've gotten into 1st place position to start this championship off with. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.